Rain tapped gently against the window as Adeel stared at the faint glow of his phone screen. The room was dim, filled with the quiet hum of an old ceiling fan that turned lazily above him. It had been another exhausting day, the kind that left his bones heavy and his thoughts restless. He had returned from work to the same silence that had greeted him for years, a silence that once comforted him but now felt suffocating. As he scrolled aimlessly through his messages, a new notification appeared. It was a link from an unknown number. There was no accompanying text, no explanation, just the silent invitation of a YouTube URL. Normally, Adeel would have ignored it, dismissing it as spam. But something about the timing felt oddly deliberate. He hesitated, his thumb hovering over the screen before finally tapping it. The video opened with a soft melody, the kind that stirred distant memories. The screen showed an empty park bench beneath a large banyan tree, its leaves swaying gently in the breeze. For a moment, Adeel felt a strange sense of familiarity, though he couldn't place it. Then a voice began to speak. "Hello, Adeel. If you're watching this, it means I finally gathered the courage to send it." His breath caught in his throat. The voice was unmistakable. It belonged to Zara. Memories surged through him like a tidal wave. Zara had been the love of his life, the person who had once filled his world with color and meaning. They had met during their university years, bonding over shared dreams and late-night conversations about the future. She was vibrant and fearless, always encouraging him to chase his passions rather than settle for the safe path he had chosen. But life had a way of complicating even the most beautiful connections. Adeel's family had disapproved of their relationship, urging him to prioritize stability and tradition. Torn between love and duty, he had made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He let Zara go, convincing himself it was for the best. She left the city soon after, and despite his many attempts to reach out, she disappeared from his life entirely. On the screen, Zara smiled softly, though there was a sadness in her eyes that pierced his heart. "I don't know where to begin," she continued. "It's strange talking to a camera, hoping that someday you'll hear the words I never had the chance to say." Adeel sank onto the edge of his bed, unable to look away. "I was angry when you left," she admitted. "I felt abandoned, like everything we dreamed of meant nothing to you. But as the years passed, I began to understand the weight of the choices you had to make. I realized that love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go." The video transitioned to scenes of Zara's life, moments captured in quiet beauty. She was seen teaching children in a small classroom, laughing with colleagues, and walking along a shoreline at sunset. Each frame told a story of resilience, of a woman who had learned to rebuild her life despite heartbreak. "I wanted to hate you," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But the truth is, I never stopped loving you. You were my first home, Adeel, and a part of me will always belong to you." Tears blurred Adeel's vision. He had spent years burying his regrets beneath routine and responsibility, convincing himself that the past was better left untouched. Yet here it was, unfolding before him with an intensity that left him breathless. Zara paused for a moment, gathering her thoughts. When she spoke again, her tone carried a quiet urgency. "There's something you should know. A few years after I left, I found out that I was pregnant." Adeel's heart seemed to stop. The room felt suddenly smaller, the air heavier. "I was terrified," she continued. "Not because of the responsibility, but because I didn't know if you would want to be part of our child's life. You had already made your choice, and I didn't want to reopen old wounds. So I decided to raise the baby on my own." The revelation struck him with the force of a storm. He struggled to process the magnitude of what he was hearing, his mind racing with questions and emotions. "She's a girl," Zara said, her smile returning, this time tinged with pride. "Her name is Aina. She has your eyes and your quiet way of observing the world. Every time she laughs, I'm reminded of the happiness we once shared." Adeel pressed his hand against his mouth, overwhelmed by a mixture of joy and sorrow. The thought of a daughter he had never known filled him with both wonder and guilt. "I'm not telling you this to make you feel guilty," Zara continued gently. You deserve to know because she deserves to know where she comes from. I've told her stories about your kindness, your dreams, and the love we once had. To her, you're not a stranger. You're a part of her story." The video shifted again, showing a young girl running through a field of wildflowers. Her laughter echoed like music, and when she turned toward the camera, Adeel saw it unmistakably, his own reflection in her eyes. Tears streamed down his face as he watched, his heart aching with a longing he had never anticipated. Zara's voice returned, softer now. "By the time you see this, I may not be there to explain everything in person. I've been battling an illness for the past year. The doctors say it's only a matter of time. I wanted to meet you again, but I was afraid of disrupting the life you've built. So I chose this way instead." Adeel felt as though the ground had been pulled from beneath him. The weight of her words pressed down on him, filling the room with an unbearable stillness. "I don't expect anything from you," she continued, "but if you find it in your heart, I hope you'll meet Aina. She's staying with my sister in Lahore. I've left all the details in the description of this video. She deserves to know the love that created her." Zara took a deep breath, her gaze steady and filled with warmth. "Thank you for loving me when you did. Those memories carried me through the darkest moments of my life. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that love never truly disappears. It simply changes form." She smiled one last time. "Goodbye, Adeel. Take care of our little piece of forever." The screen faded to black, leaving Adeel alone with the echo of her words. The silence that followed was no longer empty. It was heavy with meaning, filled with the presence of a past he could no longer ignore. Days later, Adeel found himself standing outside a modest house in Lahore. His heart pounded with a mixture of anticipation and fear. He wondered how he would explain his absence, how he could possibly make up for years of lost time. The door opened before he could knock. A woman in her early 40s greeted him with a gentle smile. "You must be Adeel," she said. "I'm Zara's sister, Samina. She told me you would come." He nodded, unable to speak. Samina stepped aside, allowing him to enter. The house was warm and filled with the comforting aroma of freshly brewed tea. As he walked into the living room, his eyes fell upon a small figure sitting on the floor, absorbed in drawing. "Aina," Samina called softly, "there's someone here to meet you." The girl looked up, her large eyes meeting his. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Adeel saw curiosity flicker across her face, followed by a quiet recognition that mirrored his own emotions. He knelt down, his voice trembling. "Hello, Aina." She studied him carefully before offering a shy smile. "Are you my father?" The simplicity of her question pierced his heart. Tears welled in his eyes as he nodded. "Yes," he whispered. "I'm so sorry it took me this long to find you." Aina stepped forward and wrapped her small arms around him. In that instant, the years of regret and loneliness seemed to dissolve, replaced by a profound sense of belonging. He held her tightly, overwhelmed by the realization that love, despite its many trials, had found its way back to him. As the sun set outside, casting a golden glow through the windows, Adeel understood that while he could not change the past, he had been given a chance to shape the future. Zara's final gift was not just the revelation of their daughter, but the opportunity for redemption and renewal. In the months that followed, Adeel devoted himself to building a relationship with Aina, each shared moment. Whether helping with her homework, listening to her stories, or simply walking hand in hand through the park became a testament to the enduring power of love and second chances. Though Zara was no longer physically present, her spirit lived on in the laughter of their daughter and in the memories that continued to guide him. Adeel often revisited the video, not as a source of pain, but as a reminder of the transformative journey that had led him to this new chapter of his life. Years later, as he watched Aina graduate from university, Adeel felt a quiet sense of peace. He realized that life's most profound lessons often emerge from its deepest sorrows. Through loss, he had discovered the true meaning of love, responsibility, and forgiveness. Standing beneath the open sky, he whispered a silent thank you to Zara, knowing that her love had not only shaped his past, but had also illuminated his future. And in that moment, surrounded by the echoes of her memory and the promise of new beginnings, Adeel understood that some connections are destined to transcend time, leaving an indelible mark on the soul that endures long after the final goodbye.